Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Backs to Riches. On today's episode, I am excited to sit down with Vinay, someone whose story is equal parts of inspiring and relatable at the same time. He spent 10 years of his life building career back in India and then decided to take a big leap of faith and move to the US for his MBA. Fast forward today, he's thriving in a successful role at Amazon and proving that bold choices can really change your life. But what makes Vinay stand out isn't just his professional journey. He's also a content creator who has managed to build a community of over 10,000 students. Yes, that's right. Sharing tips, guidance, and real talk about studying and building a career abroad. Now, in this conversation, we unpack his journey from navigating admissions and scholarships to mastering networking in the US and even his approach to resumes and interviews. Trust me, there are tons of golden nuggets in here if you're looking to carve your own path. So, without further ado, I'll see you there. What's up, Vinay?
Hi,
Welcome
Janish.
to
How are you?
Backs to Riches. How are you doing, man?
Thank you. I'm doing all good. It's a long weekend.
It's a long weekend. I see people posting their stories now, and look at us.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I like this much better, I would say.
Eh, Yeah, I would rather not travel on a long weekend and travel some other time, like after 2 or 3 weeks
Yeah,
of
it's
a
just
long
smart.
weekend.
It's just smart.
Yeah.
Just use your day offs, right? Like, what the hell? Tomorrow people. But no, yeah, thanks for agreeing to do this. I really appreciate it and your time as well. So,
Thank you, Janish.
Vinay, I know we have talked about content creation before our calls, and
Mm.
you have done that a lot. But before we dive deeper into this podcast, what are the points that our listeners are gonna take away after they listen you talk here?
One biggest takeaway, what I can for sure ensure is at least our listeners will understand why networking is very critical in US and what is the stage you should start networking. And there are many myths like you go to US, your life is all sorted, you just day one you'll get your job and then your journey is smooth. I don't think anything is. So I mean everything is painted so well back in India, and when you land here you will have altogether a different picture. I think at least I would say listeners will know what is critical for them for the 2 years what they're spending here in US, and ensure that they get something good out of it. Yeah.
Correct. And thank you for setting up that agenda for the listener. Because one of the reasons I do this, and I talk about this a lot, I want to bridge that gap when people come in here. They fantasize the life abroad. They fantasize their life
Exactly.
in
Yeah.
US, which I feel should not be the case, especially anymore, given the current circumstances. So I constantly remind people, you know what, if you're coming here, you need to have a plan on paper before you start doing anything and planning to come abroad. And that's why I got you on this podcast because I know you have been you started working in India. You have like 10 plus
Mm.
years of
Yeah.
experience. You did your mechanical engineering, and then you decided to come to the US for an MBA. So you must have a well thought out plan before you did that. So I want to understand from you what was your thought process behind it.
Uh, yeah. So yeah, like you said, I worked for 10 years in India, and then I did my mechanical engineering. I always had an option to either do an MBA in India or do my MBA in US. So when you compare both these aspects, like doing in India or in US, always I would suggest it's better you do your MBA in US. The main reason is the ROI. Even I got my I just to give you a live example. If you see my scenario, I got my admission in ISB and I got my admission in Michigan State of University.
Right.
ISB the tuition was 44 lakhs for 1 year. Whereas yeah, I know like in abroad,
That's
your
insane.
MBAs are pretty expensive. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it is going to cost you something around 2 crores, but still, your universities does give you good scholarship, or you can find TA, RA positions, or
Mm.
or a good internship during the summer. It can pay off your it can pay off your 70% of your loan. So, or tuition, I would say, or your living expenses put together. And at the end of the day, I was only paying 30 lakhs from my pocket, that too because I had some other commitments back in home, or else it was a free education for me, I would say,
That's
rather than spending 40 lakhs in India. So many people don't know this.
that's
That's
crazy.
the reason
How did you manage to do that? That's so interesting to me.
uh, yeah, I mean, so I got a full waiver from Michigan State. Okay, this is a big myth which I wanted to break. Like most of the people, they think going to Ivy League is always good, and Ivy League sets you apart, and you will always end up getting those fancy six-figure, 200K salary at the end of the day. But it's not like it's not anymore. And maybe in the past it was the same. Maybe I feel hardly 5 to 10% in the class might get those salaries or those fancy numbers. Rest all would always fall under average or below average. And things fell in place for me because back in India, when I was going through the admission process, I spoke to a lot of people. When I got my SBA admit, I paid them 3 lakh fee. Like that was the initial fee which I had to pay to just get a spot on. I mean, just to get a spot in the admission process. And I started networking. The hard reality was like it is good for someone who have 3 years of experience or 5 years of experience, and then your annual CTC is around say 10 lakhs to 15 lakhs, and then post ISB you would obviously get 25 lakhs of or 30 lakh comp. But for me, I was already on 35 lakhs plus compensation bracket, and it really doesn't make any sense. Point A. And second thing is like they don't ISB doesn't have a culture, or any for say any B school in India, they don't give you scholarships, and always like it's again you again get into the same either you would be in marketing or you would go into product development or product manager roles, but not into something beyond what you see in US. Like many people really don't know that this is the land of opportunities, or there's a land where innovation starts here. So that's where I always wanted to be in. That's the main purpose of even doing an MBA, like pivot your career or look for different options in your career.
Right.
Right. Rather, if you again stay in India, it's the same thing. You would always be a follower rather than creating something new. So that these were the key factors which led me to take this call, this
Yeah.
decision, I would say. Yeah.
No, that's I think it's a very difficult call to make. Like when you talk of it right now, now that you have made it, you went through that MBA journey and now you have a job at Amazon. It all worked out for you, but taking that leap of faith of actually leaving everything behind in India after 10 years, having a compensation close to 40 lakhs per annum, it's a pretty big deal in India as well.
Yeah, it's a big
Right?
deal.
It's
Yeah.
a very big
Yeah.
deal. So one thing is like backing yourself is that you know what you want to do eventually with your degree and your life in US. So what allowed you to get this full waiver? And what is your advice to people who would be coming in for MBA, maybe having a similar journey as you, or like maybe 3 or 4 years behind you? What would you tell them?
Yeah. So like for masters, when you look for your admission process, right, you always have a bracket. You always put your universities in three brackets. Like you classify them into three brackets, right? Like the top universities, the average one, and the I mean a safe net where like if you apply you will always get an admission, right? So my considering my background, like I work like I said, like I was a mechanical engineer, and then I worked for oil and gas industry. So my background was operations, procurement, sourcing, and I was also into strategy, sales. Like I covered everything end to end. I mean, I was not a manager though, but I have covered end to end as an individual contributor. So I understand the business, and that helped me to choose like what are the safe colleges for me,
Hmm.
safe schools in US. And like I was so aspirational because I got a good GMAT score, and then I was very aspirational. Like I always wanted to either go to UCLA or Marshall, or say I wanted Darden. I mean, if not Ivy League, at least like maybe 10 to 15 something in the rank from 10 to 25, because ISB was the limit for me. Anything above ISB I would always prefer. That was back in my mind, which was always wrong. But like since I had 10 years of experience, and when my friends were getting admissions
Hmm.
in say good universities like up to 25 ranked in US, I felt bit sad, or like I was discouraged. And then I started reaching out to my friends who did like who had a similar journey, and then like who were working for McKinsey in US, who were literally working for Amazon in US or Google, and then they advised me like, hey dude, why don't you try, say Michigan State University, which is also a topmost university. You should just
Yeah.
go try, apply, and see. And then like that was one driving factor which I just applied in the month of March, which no one would do. I just submitted my application for Michigan State, for Simon School of Business, all somewhere around 25 to 35 ranked universities in US, and not the universities. I would say the B school B
Hmm.
school has their own ranking, right? So
Yeah.
you should look at the rankings of the B school, not the university.
Hmm.
University might be, say, like for instance, Purdue has a very good name, but the B school doesn't have a good rank in Purdue. So always look for the specific domain ranks what you need to get into, and and then I just applied again, and then I got my admit because uh, I was the second person I can say for sure, like who had that rank in that year, who had that score for Michigan State, and based on your score, they would give you a waiver.
Okay.
It is all based on your educational credentials and your experience, what you're bringing on to the table for that cohort.
Hmm.
And I was meeting all the bars for them, and they offered me, I would say something less than $700 per semester, and everything was waived off. And then they gave me in tuition fee and like a lot of good. I mean, that happens only for two or three in for every school.
Hmm.
Only two or three students would get those kind of waivers.
Okay.
So it's constant across all the B schools in the world, and this is what most of the students doesn't know, and that was a big differentiating factor for me, even though it
Right.
was non-STEM when I joined. But still I took a risk because I know like the like a lot of my friends who graduated from Fisher or who graduated from UCLA, they said like Michigan State is the top school for supply chain. And then yeah, it's not a STEM school at that point of time, but like if you consider your ROI,
Hmm.
it's a very good ROI because you pay less, and then even
Right.
if you get a decent average salary, you are not going to lose anything in 1 or 2 years. And luckily, it got a STEM accreditation post like my first year, and then we all went into STEM, and then
Oh, nice.
everything fell in place for me. But the biggest takeaway I would say any student, like talk to people who are already into masters or who got graduated, and then learn from them. Like don't shy away in asking how was your ROI or how is your ROI right now. Is it worth? I got a university A like UCLA, which has given me 50% scholarship, and then I got another university, say Darden, or say I got, say for instance, in any like Kellogg, which gave me 90% waiver. Which university should I choose? And then that sets you a lot. That makes a lot of difference because I know for sure our batch is small. Like we were only 50,
Oh.
but um, everybody got a good median. The median package was really amazing. Like we fell into 120 plus. That was a median average salary. And then even though you go to UCLA and then you get 180K, for sure this current market nobody would get 180K. It's all myth again.
Yeah.
Nobody would reveal the median salaries. And then even if you get 120K with your debt, whatever you have, it's not going to work out for you for the next 10 years.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the difference you should look for when you're making your MBA move. For masters, like like it's again everywhere you need to look for scholarships, RT, RA positions, and even like I had a great time. I would say during my journey here for 2 years in masters as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Uh, and one of the very good points that you touched upon is actually doing that market research because if you have admit from let's say two or three universities, it's very important for you to understand what are your prospects after graduating, right? Because I still feel like after looking at people here in the state, it doesn't really matter that much from what university you graduate, but more
True.
on what kind of skill sets you have, what kind of projects you have taken upon, and how much or how better do you network with people, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So even
It
if
makes
it's
sense.
if you
Yeah.
are from UCLA or a Michigan State University, I would still say you would have much higher chances as a Michigan State graduate if you have done all these three things that I stated, right?
Yes. Yeah. Again, yeah. Another major difference what I saw personally was my school was close to automotive hub, and then like there are a lot of challenges in automotive industry, which doesn't help you get hired. And then say if you are in West Coast and then you had a software background, I mean you worked in an IT industry back in India or IT consulting firm, and then if you wanted to move to that, I mean say Arizona or anything around West, I think that gives you a leverage to even network because people understand what exact work you do,
Right.
and then you get to talk to them, and then that's where most of your similar domain or your background related industries are concentrated in that
Hmm.
particular zone. So
Yeah.
that gives you a lot of advantage because like it was not easy for us from sitting in Michigan, like going and convincing a tech guy, hey, I'm here, can you hire me? Or say a consulting firm, say
Yeah.
McKinsey, BCG, Bain and Co, and saying, hey, I'm from Michigan State, can you give me an interview opportunity? No, because they always go hire an Ivy League person or
Local
someone from
talents.
West.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a blend of all this. So you need to understand what is your core strength,
Hmm.
and then go talk to people, find out what they can offer, and then what we can offer them at the same time. That's how you learn, and that's what networking. That's what you should do in networking because
Yeah.
like nobody would like. Yeah, sometimes you might even get a backlash when you network with folks. They may not be happy with you when they talk, or it doesn't leave a good impression at the end of the day. But still, like you get to learn something in that half an
Right.
hour call.
Yeah. And I feel like networking is cool, but my personal experience has been very confusing when I did that, when I did my market research and I was looking at what universities to choose. Every person I talked to would have, a conflicting opinion or a different opinion or different things that you should look into. So, one thing I would suggest is having good questions, solid questions that matter to you and not just ask random questions to people because everyone would have their own opinions, different opinions on different things. And I wish I would have those questions ready before my conversations so that I have a more directed, uh, one-on-one with people and understanding what are the key insights I am looking for, not the insights that they wanna tell me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. You have to have a very targeted networking approach here.
Yeah, I would say networking has to be very directional. It doesn't need to be, just getting on a call and learning more about the other person, but something that they can learn from you and something that you actually want to learn from them. Every time I network within my industry, I tell them that, hey, this is where I am. This is where I want to go. I see you have done this and this in this particular field. I'd love to understand more about that. So that gives them the agenda that make them understand that okay, this person has a direction, there's are some questions that he wants to learn about, and I can help him or her. So
Yeah,
that makes them understand कि, okay, he is trying to make a way through and navigate their career and I can help in that, and not just saying, hey Vinay, what's up, I saw your profile, and I would love to talk with
it
you.
looks impressive.
Right? It's
Yeah.
like, what? Like, you want to talk to me about what? That has happened with me. Like, hey, I see you are working in this and this company, and I would love to get on a call with you. I was like, okay, they might want to get on a call with me. So I get on a call with the first question they are, what are you doing? I was like, this is what I'm doing. I see this job posting online. I was like, that doesn't work out, man. Come on. That's not how you network. At least in my opinion, that's not how it should be. So and that's a very good point that you touched upon. So when you say networking, how did you go about it?
Well, yeah. So I had a very, I mean, I would say my networking journey was phased out like at different stages. So when I landed in US, for me networking, I was never aware of networking to be honest because I always worked for a company for 10 years, and then I got my first job in a campus placement. So you would never have a proper resume, right, during your undergrad. It was just a form which I just filled, and then I was put through 5 6 rounds of interview, group discussions, and then like I had a good GPA, and then for sure I was sure like I'll get multiple offers, and then I got my jobs. Like that was my background in India. And then when I landed here, everything was new for me. And then culturally, and second thing is like you have to make a mindset that you don't have 10 years of experience. You have to start everything from scratch,
Right.
and you can't give away your industry acronyms, your industry language. I mean, you have a lot of baggage what you bring from with yourself, with your experience.
100%.
And getting into a networking phase was really hard for me. So I first started with like my university was great. Like for MBA programs, you have coffee chats. Like they start with something like coffee chats week on week for the first 1 or 2 months, and then you get to connect with a lot of alumni over the MBA program. And then that's how I started. I just started talking to them, and by December of that year, like 2022 December, I realized, oh, it's just not going to work out because we had a mass layoff across industry in November 2022, and and everything was there was no hiring happening, and I was looking for internship, and I was getting interviews, but like more were like corporate strategy roles or say procurement roles or supply chain roles, and I was not sure what I was literally heading into. And in Jan, I met, like, I was very aggressive in Jan 2023, like, because I know, like, in 4 months, I need to get an internship for summer. And I started connecting every MBA alumni of my college, my school, and that made a huge difference. So the first question what I asked was, like I was so blank. Like I just like I said, I want to learn your experience, and then what got you into this company.
Yeah.
And right now I'm a first year MBA student. I'm looking for summer internships. What advice would you give me?
Mm.
Because the market is not good, and there are no companies coming into. And then like so all my questions were put to him
Yeah.
or them, and then it was really amazing. So few said, okay, pass on me your resume, let me have a look on your resume, because we do have internship roles coming up, and then we can refer you, or we can put you to the concerned person, they can have a look. And then one person, he saw my resume, like he was really impressed. He said, you got a lot of technical knowledge, now you should look for product manager roles. And I was like, what? And nobody would know, like automotive industry also have got a product manager roles with them. We all think product strategy or product manager roles are for tech industry, but no, it's for every industry
Mm.
across the world. So, and then I started looking out for automotive industry product manager roles, and that's where I got my first job into product strategy
Okay.
in US, and it was for EV industry, because I was very sure when I wanted to get into MBA, like I wanted to go either move into energy industry or like tech industry for sure, because I belong to energy and tech, because like at that point of time, Internet of Things was something very famous. It was a big thing happening across the world, and that's where I worked into, like back in India. So I was working on a project where we were getting up IoT for our gas stations, and we were completely digitalizing all our gas stations. So that was, I mean, that was a project which I always had on the resume, and I was talking to different folks in industry. So these two were my high selling points. Like I wanted to go to EV
Mm.
because EV was good at that point of time, and then or get into tech industry, into digital strategy or digitalization or any
Right.
digital program in a tech industry. And I did, so I narrowed down my networking from a larger scale, like okay, nothing like tech. What is tech? You mean there's a
Yeah.
lot of things in tech, there's a lot of things in automotive, so what exactly you want to focus on?
Correct.
So that's where you have to get down to. I think these days a lot of people, what they fail is they don't know what they want. Say, I want to become a data scientist, I want to become a data engineer, but for what? Like, are you from
Exactly.
fintech background? Are you from, say, healthcare? Or are you from tech industry? In tech, what? Where did you work for? Who was your previous employer? What projects you worked on? So that will help you understand what exactly you need to look for post your masters, because that's where you will again get your job. It's not that easy to pivot your career. It
100%.
cannot happen overnight. Yeah,
No, I agree so much on that front with you because, especially in the tech industry, people are actually looking at your passion. Like, are you actually
exactly.
passionate about what you're saying, and how you can translate that is. I've seen people, like, I've never been in tech, but I've seen people, and the people that I've networked with, what they do is take up projects that will allow them to work on real life problems and also allow them to be in a marketplace where these projects are needed and these skill sets are needed.
Yep.
And
Right.
that has worked amazingly well for them, taking up projects from, I think it's forage.com or something, where
Yeah.
they have like uh, free of cost programming
They
or
have a
something
lot
like
of
that.
projects. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and you just do that. You make sure that people see you. You're visible enough to the network of the IT industry or high tech industry in order to increase your chances. And I think this is something I learned from your videos. I'm not sure. Is this something that you posted?
Yeah, I got some videos on Forage where like they have all. I mean, Forage has a lot of projects which are tech industry post over
Yeah.
there. They're all small, you can say capstone projects for a short duration, maybe a week or something, and
Yeah.
it gives folks hands-on experience. Yeah.
100%. And I think that helps a lot. And your video, I've shared it with people and they said like, okay, this might help because I know some people who have graduated, but they are yet in between jobs. They're looking for jobs and it's not a very good time for them. So I think that kind of content really help such people who actually want to build their resume in a way that they can showcase their talents and skills.
Yeah.
So that really helps. So what inspired you to get into content creation? And I know your journey has been of what, 1 year as a content creator, and you've already achieved like 10,000 followers or something on your
Yeah.
Instagram. So what allowed you to first have that rapid growth, and second, what was your inspiration behind it?
Well, so I always wanted to do it in LinkedIn, to be honest. I never
Yep.
wanted to do it in Instagram, but somehow I felt okay, Instagram would give you a better reach because lot of, I mean, you can create a short uh, post in Instagram. It's not one. I mean, LinkedIn would need you to be very professional,
Yeah.
and I can become famous in LinkedIn through a lot of posts, but Instagram, I mean, it's a way where you can reach out to a lot of folks around and then really give them good insights like what's happening in the market, and then help them understand how to do networking, because that's where my success, I really got this job because of networking. It's not just, it did not happen that I have applied and then I got something overnight. I almost networked for 6 months. I was super aggressive during my whole of summer internship. Like I was doing my internship, but I was talking to almost 14 to 15 senior folks in the company, in different companies, for on every week basis. So that helped me to be prepared, and that's where I feel like a lot of folks should know how do you network. It's not that you show a job role today and then I'll go and ask them, hey, I've seen this, can you please give me a referral? Nobody would, the world would do that. So that was one main reason which I have started this page, like let people, give awareness to them like what exactly they need to do and make better informed decisions, because nothing happens overnight. You can't just step in US and say some employer will walk to you because you worked for a Fortune 500 company in India and then they'll give you an offer overnight.
Yep.
And then interviews are way different what you see in India. Here you have 6 7 rounds of interview to get a job, and then it takes 7 hours of like I know, like at least in my company we interview for 6 to 7 hours, and that's how the whole process is. And it's and you can't fake. It's not, if you haven't worked on a particular project or you don't have those skill sets, you will never be able to get through interview. And people feel okay, you can just give referral and then you'll get your job. Nothing happens that way. And all this made me to, like, I thought like these all points have to be conveyed to international students, especially who are coming from
Yeah.
India with a lot of aspirations, and be prepared. At least start working a year back. Like if you're graduating this year, you should have a solid plan at least a year back.
Mm.
So I think that was the main point in starting that page, and then yeah, it went well. I got various content into it, like one big viral content which went viral. One content was in your resume, your ATS resume,
Mm.
and a lot of people I see they don't even know how to structure their resume,
I see.
and it got a million views, I guess,
A
almost a
million
million
views?
views.
Wow.
Yeah, and the resume which I have put that resume on TopNet so that anyone can download, and then edit for themselves and then make it all good, because that resume has a clear structure, like your education and then your experience, how you break down your experience, and what are the key words you need to use, and then what format you need to have when you phrase a statement on your a point on your resume. Like, are you covering situation, task, action, result? People say you cover what, how, and outcome, but I would say rather than that, always say, instead of what, how, WHO, say what was your situation, what action did you take, what was the results, and what team you have influenced in getting those outcomes, because it'll cover everything. A single project, when you write on your resume, should cover end to end the whole story, and when someone would read it, they would know, okay, this guy got these skills, or he or she got these skill sets, which is really impressive. So that's how you should put a one page document for yourself.
So I know we were talking about the methodology. I guess you're talking about is the STAR methodology on the resume. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so when I was making my resume, it was a suggestion which was given by my friend who was working for a consulting company. Like, consulting companies have a different sort of resume, and then it doesn't work out for other companies. And then at the end of the day, I realized, like, we just have to, okay, consulting is heavy on results and actions and what stakeholders you have influenced on doing a project, because their main job is to influence stakeholders.
Right.
And for a different companies, like any other company in the world, they would see what action verbs you have used. I mean, like, what teams what teams you worked with, and then what is a project, and what is the outcome, and also say what problem you solved in your project,
I see.
in 2 lines or max 3 lines, not more than that.
Hmm.
I think if you can bring these things on your resume should look good for anyone who at least read through that on the first instance.
Got it. So according to you, what are the top three factors that you would say are important to be on a resume?
Yeah, so have your recent projects on the top. Say what roles you worked in. That's very critical. For instance, I was a project manager in India. Like, say for instance, when I was working in India, I was assistant manager engineering, where my role was projects, procurement, tech implementation, uh, many different things, right? I was covering tech and lot of different domains. But in US, you don't have those kind of designations.
Hmm.
It's all like you either have, say, product manager, or you have software developer, or you have a lead, or say you have commodity manager, category manager, or different things, or say program manager or technical program manager, a lot of different things,
Hmm.
right? So understand what your role was in India, and then try to change it to US standards, because that's where most of the people understand. So I made a change on it. Like, I did not change anything. I just said project manager, and then I explained it in a single line, which can fit in at least half of the line, not the whole line. Like, what exactly I did. I did sourcing, procurement, project
Got it.
implementation, and project management,
Hmm.
right? So it gives a lot of info to the recruiter or to the hiring manager who reads it. Like, okay, this guy was focused mostly on these 3 elements. It means he's a good fit for our role, and that's where, like, most of our people fail to show it
Hmm.
on their resume. They are like, I think it's not wrong. You're doing the same thing, but you're explaining it better. You're not changing you're not bringing all together different projects what you have not worked on. Your projects are still the same, but you're explaining it better in your designation, or in the role whatever you worked for. That's very critical. And second thing is, like, show all the recent projects. Like, explain, I mean, be very specific in 2 lines. What was the project, what impact you created as an individual,
Hmm.
and what teams you influenced in your project. You might always influence your, say, if you're a software developer, you would always influence your operations guy, you will always influence your customer.
Hmm.
And what is the end result? How did you, what gave you, I mean, did you increase efficiency, or did you reduce click-through rate, or what did you do it?
Got
So
it.
you need to be very specific about your outcome. If you're not specific about the outcome, nobody would understand. And once you get to your resume would help you developing your pitch and then your interview stories. If you don't have your resume good, I mean, if you don't have your resume set at the initial stage, you will never get into a proper pitch. And that's where you fail during your networking as well, because people, I mean, when you, I've seen many times, since my resume was good, I was not never hesitating any of the senior manager or manager asking them, do you mind reviewing my resume?
Right.
And that gives you a chance where your resume goes to a manager, they'll give you their feedback. They would say, okay, I spoke with you, I feel you are not the right fit, I think you've got a lot of experience, or you don't have this experience, why don't you develop these skills? There was one person who upfront told me, like, hey, if I hire you, like, you can become a good product manager, but imagine if I hire someone back in India who can work for me from India, I'll just pay them 25 lakhs, whereas they also know Python, they also know Tableau. How are you different from them? So it's a good call though. Like, literally, he gave me an insight, and then I felt this is not the right fit for me, and then I never gave attention to those particular roles. Right? It saved a lot of time to me.
Right.
So I think that's how you can have candid conversations with folks with whom are you are networking. Like, have a good resume. Go and tell them, hey, can you have a look of it and give me feedback, like what skills I need to develop.
Right.
People are always happy to look into for 30 seconds and then give you a good feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because I've seen a lot of my friends coming from India. They're super shy, right? From our culture, and we typically don't. Uh, we respect our elders, our managers, and things like that. So we do not speak back, and we are usually much on the shyer side when
Yeah,
it comes to talking to people above in your hierarchy. But on the contrary, it's a complete cultural shift when you come to the States.
exactly. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what are your advice to people? What is your advice to people who would be coming here? And say, I'm asking you this because you had you have lived majority of your life in India, and you were able to make that change after coming to the States, right? So, what would you do? And you tell people to do in order to start doing those things.
So my advice to folks would be like, before by the time you reach India, you should have a decent LinkedIn profile for sure. You clean up your LinkedIn profile for sure, and then start connecting with people at least in your role or in your domain who had similar experience, say who just got 3 years of experience or 4 years of experience working in US, because that's a good start for you. They would give, like, you can always feel comfortable to ask them what is your day to day and what are the challenges you have, and that's where you learn their stories, and then you can correlate with your experience with your stories back in your mind, and then start, once you're in US, like, give it a break 1 or 2 months and start networking with all managers, senior executives,
Mhm.
and then don't shy away in sending your resume. This is the biggest advice I would give always to people, because that's where it makes a lot of impression. First thing, people look at your resume, and if you are not a good fit, I think people don't shy away here to tell you back, like, hey, look, you're not a good fit for this role, and it saves a lot of time for you. And you can always ask them what skills I'm lacking. They'll say, okay, for this role I need these skills, and it's good if you can learn these skills during your masters. If not, like, just pass on and then
Yeah.
pick something different which is very relevant to you.
Mhm.
And that's how I have done my networking, or I have seen successful people doing it. Like, they talk to people with similar experience
Mhm.
or similar industry. Say my friend, if, like, I know, like, oil and gas, a lot of people moved to US,
Mhm.
they did their masters, and then they got into consulting, they got into tech. So that's how you start connecting. That's how I did. Like, I started connecting with folks from ONGC, IOCL, HPCL, BPCL, 4 companies in the US. And then I said, like, hey, look, I'm from similar company, and then you had a similar journey, but today you're a director, or today you're a senior manager, or today you're a manager, who you make hiring decisions. Like, they make hiring decisions that I know. And I asked them, like, and that's how I developed a personal bond. Like, they know, like, they sympathize. Oh, you're from oil and gas, like, getting into product, or getting, say you want to become a product manager in Google and you don't have tech experience, and
Right.
Google is heavy, like, a product manager is heavy on data, and then heavy on analytics, and heavy on, at least you need to know SQL and Python, and you don't have those skills. And they were pretty good. They said, look, I know, like, I understand completely your background, because I was in similar shoes long back, maybe 5 years back. And they give you advice, like, see, You can, if you really aspire to this role, don't get into this company, even though it's a big tech company. Don't get into this stage.
Mm.
Go to a startup, learn things, or go to some company where the roles are similar, learn, and then after 1 or 2 years you start getting into big tech companies,
Mm.
and that helps a lot, like. And you are set, like, which direction you're heading into. I know,
Yeah.
like, people always say you want to go to big tech, but fine, like, just start somewhere,
Yeah.
take their advices, and once you make those connections, it never goes waste. And after 2 or 3 years you can always reach out to them and say, hey, this is what you advise, this is what I did, and I think right now I'm a good fit for your company, can you give a referral? They'll be happily doing it, because you would literally took their words, and then it gives a very positive sense, and you really create good
Yeah.
bonds among people. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and the people who are very blunt with their feedback are the best people in my opinion, because they
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
actually think well, or they're actually a well wishers, if I may
Exactly.
say,
Yeah.
because I know I was interviewing for a job, and there's this person. I have known him for like 2 years. I've worked with them, and I interviewed with them. Uh, thought it was going to be casual because we have known each other, but we did that. He asked me a question on like, what does this number mean? And I was like, because we are friends, I might just joke and I'd say, you know what, my reviewer asked me to add it, so I added it, and that was literally my answer. But I didn't know that's gonna, bite me back in the ass. Cut to the present. He is like, you know what? We couldn't offer you the job. Sorry, I got the, got the email from the HR saying, you know what, we cannot go forward with their application. It's like, oh, that's a bummer, because I've worked with this person and they know how I work and what I've done with them. So I reached out to him, hey man, I appreciate your time, but I didn't really know what went wrong. Can you provide me some feedback? I was thinking, you know what, maybe it was they found another candidate that was a better fit or something like that. That is what I was hoping for. But that person got back to me, and he said, these are the points. He literally sent me like 10 different pointers saying, these are the things that I didn't like about your interview and you need to work on. So it did hurt a bit. I'm not saying it didn't hurt, but I took that. I took that advice. I jotted down all those points. I made sure in my next interview when I was preparing, I had it to the T. I didn't take anything for granted. And that is the interview I converted. So all of those feedback may sting a bit, but once you take them into your consideration, it really helps for you to move forward in your career.
Agreed, agreed. I had similar experience. Like, when I was interviewing with one of the company, they said, do you know Power BI? I said, yeah, well, I got trained in Power BI, but I can learn for you. And then after the interview, I literally took the certification course. I sent him a certificate, but it never helps. Like,
Exactly.
it never helps that way. And then that okay, I learned in a good. I mean, that was a bad way of learning things, but that really helped me. But when I was interviewing for T connectivity or other companies down the line, I went back to my senior. He was a good mentor of mine, and then I asked him, like, look, these are the mistakes I did. He said, no, your stories cannot be like this. You have to correct yourself. And then he helped me a lot. He trained me for
Exactly.
almost 2 hours, and then I started delivering a good pitch. And like, my pitch was the starting point for someone to always ask me questions. Okay, you said this in your pitch. Okay, in your intro. Now explain me more about it.
Exactly.
And then the whole conversation got diverted to a different tangent. So that's how you learn things. And yeah, interviews have to be taken very seriously here. It's not casual. Nothing is casual here.
It
Even
is
a
not
half an
at
hour
all, because
conversation. Yeah,
I was like, people
yeah,
usually are casual here. That was like the
yeah.
major shock to me, is like, when I was working with you, we were super casual, right? We used to talk like this, but when it comes to interview, it actually is very
It
professional,
actually is.
because those recordings are gonna go, those pointers are gonna go back to HR and things like that. So you need to be very focused, and
Exactly. Yeah.
you have to make sure the premise you are in, you have to understand that and abide by that. So
Yeah.
that was a good learning, but I think this is a perfect segue for me to get into our next conversation of interview prep. So now you've gone from undergrad in mechanical to working in 10 years, working 10 years in a at a job in India, coming to US for your MBA, and converting your interview in Amazon. So, what are the things you tell people for interview prepping to get into these big FANG or big tech companies?
Oh yeah, I would say big tech companies. It's not that easy, like
It
the
is
way we
not.
think. From yeah. So first thing, like you have to be top on networking. Second thing, they really value your experience, what you carry with you, and they're heavy on data. Like you just can't say, okay, I did $1 million project and then I had X million of savings, but they will ask you how. Like there'll be a lot of follow-on questions. So you have to be very thorough about your stories. If you're not like it, I mean, literally you will not be able to crack. And it's not just that you can give a same story, repeat a same story to four different or five different people in the interview, because everybody would again like the expectation is you should have at least 20 to 30 good stories with you or
Wow.
projects with you to talk about, and you have to be like on top of it, like you have to cover various aspects of your profile. So like say for instance my journey, like supply chain, my resume had 16 functional areas
Mm.
like which I worked on. I went through like start of my career till 10 years, like what all functional areas I have covered in tech, and then got everything on the resume. And then those 16 areas had almost 40 projects, and then I gave 40 unique examples, I mean, stories to people.
Mm.
Because when it's just after interview, obviously people will share feedback, and then when somebody reads your feedback, it should look like you're not repeating the same
Correct.
story or project again and again in different ways,
Mm.
because you end up messing things, which I did not wanted to do. And I think perhaps that might be the story of that might be the case for everyone.
Mm.
And I think it's not only fan, like even I know, like when I was talking to many of my friends who were working for startup companies and all these days, like they all have a similar structure. Like you'll put 2 3 to 4 rounds of interview at least, and then they would ask you a lot of questions. Like they are all situational and behavioral, and behavioral questions are never like, they would never say, okay, tell me a time when you had an issue with your colleague. It means like you are not supposed to give example like I had a fight with him and then I resolved, or you have to rather give an example saying that okay, this was a project which we were working on,
Yeah.
these were the issues on the project, and this is what I gave a solution, and this is how I got stakeholders buy-in. So I mean, you have to really talk about your project. No, nothing is personal, nothing is
Yeah.
like, they literally see, that's a way where people test your ability, or they ensure you really worked on a project. If you don't, if you have never worked on a project, you would never have stories, or maybe never have
Yeah.
responses to share. And all the fan companies are same these days, and now it's more on like your technical knowledge, and
Mm.
then your skill sets and your experience matters a lot now. Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah, because when you talked about this behavioral, I think I have been making the same mistakes. Uh, because now I'm realizing it. Okay, that might be the reason of not getting callbacks. That's crazy. Okay, I didn't know that. That's a good learning for me too. Uh,
Yeah,
because every
because what would Tesla do if they ask you a behavioral question? Like for instance, like one of my round of interview with Tesla, like I was said, okay, tell me a time when you have to work on a project to improve operational efficiency. How did you improve operational efficiency? Give me 10 different scenarios, and then like it was all behavioral comes in situational question,
right.
and then I was really struggling to give them answer on 10 different use cases
Mhm.
to improve operational efficiency. And then glad the very next day there were a lot of layoffs, and I never had a regret that I was not able to crack that interview. That's a different story, but that's how it's always I mean, I always tell this to people. I'm so lucky. I never cracked that interview because, like, the very next day they laid off so many people.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy because
Yeah.
I remember one time this company asked me on what would happen if you had a colleague and you're working on the same project, but you do not, you know, get along or have the
Yeah.
same opinion on things. So I do remember saying like, "Oh, you know, it's their problem." You know?
Yeah.
uh, no, and this was like way back, even. Even when I
Yeah.
was like just came to the US and started interviewing, not very proud of it. I've surely learned on how to be diplomatic after that, to actually understand what they want to ask or what to want to hear. It's really different than what you actually want to tell them.
Yeah.
So that's actually good learning. So it's just funny to me because I've been just reminiscing on all my past interviews and all the fuck ups I've made in order to crack this one interview. My God, it's crazy. So what's next for you, Vinay, now? Now I know that it was a STEM program for you, and you've been doing this,
Yeah.
and now you're in Amazon. Is it fulfilling, or what are your next steps?
So I would say the job is really amazing, like where I work for, because like my main goal. I mean, I always wanted to be on the other end of the spectrum where like we're working on something innovative, and
Mhm.
then like we always get the first mover advantage. A lot of learning with that comes in. So I am in the perfect spot right now, I would say, and I'm very lucky for that.
Yeah.
At least for time being, yeah. And maybe like down the line, if things goes well and like wherever my career takes me to, but yeah, there are no regrets like for the decisions whatever I made in the past, like
Yeah.
moving to US or I mean leaving a lot of things back in India and then starting my career again. I know like I have to restart my whole career, but it's always rewarding. I think it's for many people as well if you get through the right direction, because every day you get to learn new things,
Right.
solve new challenges, you solve new problems, and everything is new. And if I was in India, I would have never got this kind of exposure what
Yeah.
I'm getting right now here. Yeah, that's main, because later on, even if after 10 years, if I want to go back to India, for sure I'll be going back in a good position. Not like, I mean, yeah, that's for sure. Like in the future, if it has
Yeah.
to happen, then yeah,
Because now that you have tag of
it's
Amazon and all the skills, I
yeah,
think there is a reason why these are big companies because the things that they work on and the challenges that they face are much more advanced than what the other companies are usually used to. So I feel that's always a good experience to add on to your resume. And then you're
correct.
desirable to many other companies, I would say.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
I wish so.
Amazon, I'm
Yeah.
fine Amazon, man. But that's amazing. And with your content creation, what are your pledges to the community that you're serving right now?
Mm, I think I should like when it comes to my content, I don't want to bring something which is not relevant to to the community for sure, because people do look at these content and then they try to frame their mindset, and I don't want to be a person where I'm giving something wrong or I'm giving misleading information and then people assume this is what the reality is and this is how they frame or they take wrong decisions for
Mhm.
themselves. Even if I'm able to influence say one or two people, that's great. I don't want to bring in saying that hey, life is so good and you need not to worry about money, like just go step in US the other day you you
Yeah.
will get a good job. No, that's not the way you have to think through. And like my only whole point in starting this page was like um, have a I mean bring a thought in people, like you have to start talking to others. Like first thing, don't shy away reaching out to others. Nothing is going to happen. Like what else can happen? He's not your relative or he's not your friend to judge you for sure. Even if he judges, like nothing wrong can happen to you. And learn from them, and then create a community where you can at least on a later date when things go wrong for you, at least you can reach out to those folks and then seek for help. That's where I wanted people to think through, rather than getting disappointed that no one is responding to your LinkedIn messages. Or
Mm.
like today when I'm in the shoes of those people, like when I used to like your LinkedIn has a limit, like in a week you can only reach out to maybe 150 or 200
200
people.
people, yeah.
Yeah, beyond that your LinkedIn blocks. So I used to send 200 messages in a week
Mhm.
for sure. Till by Sunday night I used to send 200 messages, and hardly like 50% used to accept my connect request, and only 10 people used to respond me back, and one used to give
Those
me
are
time
pretty
to
good
talk.
numbers.
Yeah, and that's how I started my journey. And today when I'm in their shoes, I don't get time to respond to everybody, like unless I don't see a meaningful reason, like why I need to respond.
Exactly.
So that's where people have to understand, like students have to understand, like okay, no, they are not, they're no one to you, they don't owe you anything, so to respond back and do your best, and then don't expect results, because like the moment when you start expecting other one is not doing, you will be really disappointed with them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And that's why I said there's a way to reach out to someone. It's not just random
exactly.
things,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And I think that's a perfect circle around to our conversation. We
yeah,
started saying that you have to be really driven and directional with your approach to getting to know someone or network with someone is that why would this
exactly.
person
Yeah,
respond to me? And people would not shy away from helping you out, is what I've realized. As my career in sales, as my career in whatever I'm doing right now, and the networking that I do, people are always available to help.
yeah.
Maybe they don't have time, but it's nothing personal. They are so open to tell you, this is what I've learned, these are the mistakes that you should not do. And I've barely found people not like just being rude on a call, or not trying to help you or anything of that sort. It's just like if you
Yeah,
don't ask a question, it's already a no. So
exactly.
make
Yeah.
sure at least you ask a question and get a no. So that is something that I would say is a good takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, like still I see a lot of people sending me a message or saying hi, and then what next? Like they don't
Yeah,
even
just hi. Yeah.
write at least and some people say, hey, I want to connect with you to learn your experience. Can you give some time? And then I'm like,
What?
have some. I mean,
Yeah.
what you want to connect? Like when I remember one of my friend who, like, I learned networking from a close friend of mine, and then during my internship, and then he was telling me like, okay, write a very big story, and then let people, whoever is willing to help you, they will read your story and then they'll get back to you. It means they're willing to help you. Like literally, he taught me how to write a big message. So I used to narrate my whole 10 years experience and say 200 words and then send them a message, and then some used to ignore and few used to respond back, and then literally they were amazing. Like that's how, like, before giving referral, they also used to talk to me again
Right.
for the second time to understand if this candidate is really worth like a referral, and then they used to give me referral, and that was really amazing. And there were a few like who said, I remember a person, he's a director, and then he said he was literally laughing at my journey, like, hey, why after 10 years, why MBA, what are you talking,
Yeah.
why do you need a job which is not your, I mean, worth your experience? I said, look, things are different. Okay, you might be like you got everything so easily, but that's not the case. And then I never took it personally, but it's always good to understand someone's perspective. And but that person gave me a lot of referrals though,
That's
so it's always good.
It's
Yeah,
always a blessing in disguise. I always say that
exactly.
people who are the
Yeah,
toughest on you are the best people, and the people you want to keep them close.
exactly.
Uh,
Yeah. So nothing wrong in reaching out to people at all. Like
exactly.
it's always good.
I
Yeah.
remember when I used to write, like I have tried shortening it now because I don't think people have time. That's what I think. So I used to, send them email of saying, "Oh, this is my journey. 4 years of this, 2 years of this, 2 years of that. See that you are doing this. I would love to have a chat with you." And it's like a 2, 3 paragraphs long email. This one person just out of nowhere replies to me saying TLDR. I was like, what? I gave all these hours researching you, seeing what you do, how you can help me, my story. I was like, come on, man, come on, at least give it a read. Uh, but that happens, It's like you do what you're
It
supposed
happens.
to,
Yeah.
and then let people decide what they want to do with it. So having no expectations, as you said, is the perfect way to go
Yeah,
forward.
so it again depends who is the other person. Like when obviously like when I network, they're all managers, senior managers, directors. So the best part about these people, what I understood in my last 1.5 year of professional journey, like people don't ignore your messages; they do read your messages. And then if there's really a role, they will get back to you. They'll ask you, are you really available to take up this role? We are looking for a candidate. And that's how few of my friends really got
Yeah,
jobs, because we follow the same process, like sending a big message, and then like
yeah,
if they really, if they are invested, they will get back to you. That's the thumb rule,
Exactly.
right? And even if you send, like there were a few people who literally got back to me saying that, hey, you now your message, uh, I mean, took grabbed your attention. I mean, I got attracted to your message, and that's the reason I'm talking to you. So there were a few people like that, and one or two they really felt bad. They said, I'm very busy. I can't read such a big message. So please don't put such a big message. You tell me
Yeah.
if you're in West Coast, we can meet for a coffee. And I was like, no, no way. I don't want to talk to these kind of people at all. Because world is big. If not you, I'll reach out to another manager. It's not. I mean, like, no way. It's
Yeah,
not going to make a
I
big
mean, it's
difference
at the
for me.
first level,
Yeah,
they do not have time, and
yeah,
it doesn't align during that time because there are so many people to reach out to. It's like,
exactly. So it's an interesting journey end of the
yeah,
day.
you find some people, you lose some people along the way, but
Exactly. Yeah.
I think all in all, it's all about the conversations like these that we are having. Is like this is
Exactly.
how simple it can be, right? It's like having open-ended
Yeah.
questions, like allowing the other person to talk about themselves and learning from them is actually very powerful. And that was like the whole objective of telling people like we are strangers, like we just had two or three calls before this, and now I know so much about you and you might know something about me, and this is how you start to build those relationship with people. It's not, it's no rocket science, it's nothing like that. You ask people what they are excited about, they're happy to talk about it, right? And why not?
Yep.
They would share their story, why would they not share their stories? So once again, I mean, thank you for doing this, and hopefully, your talk empowers more and more people to reach out and learn more about how the career works in the
How do
US
they do?
and
Yeah.
how to take a journey, which takes a lot of grit and power to make that decision and leaving your country, coming to a new country and having a life which you're proud of. So I'm super proud of it. And I appreciate you making this time. That would be all of my questions, but if you have anything for me, I'd be happy to answer it.
All good, man. Like, thanks for hosting this. I think these are really wonderful conversations we had. It's amazing. Yeah, it's always good to learn about someone else as well.
Exactly, yeah. So I really appreciate your time, and I think we're gonna stop it here. And I look forward to having more such conversation eventually with you. Maybe in one of those conferences, we'll
Yeah,
meet again.
sure. Yeah, we should meet again. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
that's amazing. Yeah.
All right, man. So I'm gonna stop
All
this
right.
recording. We'll wait for like 2 hours.